So yesterday I choked a bit. Not choked in the physical sense of like physical choking, but in the sense of I was meant to come online, post a video for my 100-day challenge, but I abstained. And I'm going to give you an analogy for why I believe that was. So if you think about a sponge that you use to wash dishes, you can use it in many ways to wash your dishes, and you can use it to soak water. And those sponge, like you get a dry sponge, you put it under the water and it starts soaking in the water. And then it gets to a point where the water is no longer soaking. So you can either squeeze it and then apply your soap and start using it, or you can leave it on the side because you got distracted from your dishes and it will dry off eventually by itself. Yesterday, I was the sponge that was absorbing water without having anywhere to put, without getting rid of the excess water. And what I mean by that was I was consuming content yesterday and I consumed content for the whole day. And I was just like, at the end of it, I was just like, I didn't have anything within me to, no, I could have done a video, but I chose not to because I was now overwhelmed by the content I had consumed, and the action that I would have taken, I wasn't able to take because of that. And at the end of the day, my goal in life is to leave this life empty, in terms of empty of potential, empty of skills, empty of goals and dreams, just empty, so that I know that I've put everything on the table. I did what I could, and I lived the life that I could have lived to the best of my ability. And one of the reasons why I started showing up on YouTube regularly was, despite yesterday, was to, if I take you back to the Bible, there is a story that Jesus tells in the Bible of, it's called the parable of the talents. And Jesus told the story of how a master goes on his journey, but before he goes on his journey, he gives to each servant talents, which are like money, I believe. So he gives to one 5 talents, he gives to another another amount of talents, and then he gives to the other 1 talent. So the two guys who get multiple talents, like, go about and then they invest the money and they make more money out of the money they were given by their master. But there's this one guy who goes and buries his talent in the sand because he thinks his master is a harsh master. So he might as well just keep the money for him. And when he comes back, he can give him the money. But when the master comes back, he's like, oh, well done, good and faithful servants, to the guys who got the multiple talents and they did something with it, they multiplied it. But to the one guy who buried it, he's like, you wicked and deceitful servant. If you had put my money in the bank, it could have gotten some interest, but you chose to bury it instead, away with you, basically. And I tell that to say that was one of the motivating reasons why I came on YouTube, because I was like, I've got a gift for surface pattern design. I've got a talent for it. Um, and I want to be able to do something with that talent. I want to be able to start a business with that talent and not bury it and just be like, oh, I can do this, but it's not a big deal. Because there are other people who can't do this, who don't even know about it. To them, it can be a big deal because it's a skill they would wish they would have, so they could start their own business maybe and um, live a life that aligns with them. So this is part of the aligning action I was taking, to say, okay, I'm kind of done hiding away and being invisible and being neglectful of the skills that I have. Um, because who wants Jesus to come back and then for him to say, who are you? I don't know you. Get away from me, kind of. Because that's what happens when you bury, that's what can happen when you bury your talents and you don't use them to the best of your abilities. And I think I started this like at least talking about Jesus, I started that like mid conversation. If you don't know about Jesus, um, maybe I'll make another video about talking about my faith and introducing things from a more ground zero perspective. But briefly, Jesus is somebody who came and died for everyone, so that our sins could be forgiven. It's Let me do that in another video. It's not something that I planned for here, but my point is, you don't want to live a life that you end up like at the end of the life, if you have the opportunity to look back on your life before you die, you feel like, oh my gosh, I could have done this, I wish I had done that, I could have done this, I wish I had done this instead. You don't want to leave things on the table or in your hands or buried somewhere in the sand because you didn't utilize it when you had the opportunity to utilize it. And one of the ways that I was postponing utilizing my gifts was just like, I was telling myself, oh, I've got time, I'll do this next year, or I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll do that another time. But another time, tomorrow, next year is not guaranteed. I might just have today and have to make the most of today in order to live the life that I can live abundantly, being a good steward of the talents and gifts and abilities that God has given me. So I want to encourage you to use your gifts, use your talents. And you might be thinking, I don't have a gift, I don't have a talent. But I want to say something to you. Like the other day, I was just talking to some friends and family, and we were just talking about social media and how people are earning, like it's a new gateway for employment, for self-employment, for generating income, for generating revenue and all of these things. And we got onto the topic of how people who can show up on YouTube are talented. And to me that went over my head because I'm like, I'm showing up on YouTube. What do you mean I'm talented? I'm just showing up and shooting the videos, sharing my ideas, sharing my thoughts. Where's the talent in that? But a cousin of mine was like, no, that's talent because not everybody can do that. There are some people who, for them to get to the point where you are, they feel like they have to practice, they have to put more effort, they have to do all of these things to do that in order to show up so they can be at the same starting point as you are. And I was just like, I was blown away because I was like, well, that's a talent? Really? But it was. And so I want to let you know that everybody has a talent. Everybody is born with a gift of something that they can do uniquely to them that other people can't do as well as they can. But the problem is we never really notice these gifts and talents that we have because they're so normal to us. They're so normal that they come so easily to us that it's just, it's like you don't even think about it. There's so much less friction when you do it that you don't even think about it when you're doing it, to recognize it as like, oh, this is something of value that I can provide to other people. So you have one, like, journal if you want to journal, so you can start thinking about when did you experience um doing things that came with particular ease and that came with sometimes your talents don't come with ease. Sometimes they come with a lot of resistance instead. And that may be because we may be thinking about limiting beliefs that we may have around our talents and belief and skills, and negative self-talk that we may experience, like, oh, I know I can do this thing, but it's not really a big deal, or self-deprecating talks that we can talk ourselves out of the talents and talents and skills and goals that we have. So yeah, I I was so blown away that you come and showing up on YouTube and sharing your point of view, sharing your perspective is a talent. And You know what? I totally believe that every one of us has got one. I totally believe that every one of us has got something like that. Whether it be YouTube, whether it be surface pattern design, as I'm doing my 100-day surface pattern design challenge, to draw a pattern a day, or whether it be just talking easily to people, to strangers, to be outgoing, or maybe you're not outgoing, but that still comes easily to you, or sharing stories and be able to tell stories and keep people engaged while you're sharing the stories that you're sharing. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And before I end the video, I wanted to share my pattern of the day. And it is something that I drew when I was thinking about the video of the day. Like, I was thinking about not showing up yesterday. I was thinking about I'll just be running the replay times. Oh, the language escapes. English isn't English. But time. Okay, the video will be running. It won't be long. But I was just thinking about how easy it is to discredit yourself, to get caught up in things and overwhelm yourself, and to just not show up. And what came out of that pattern was this pattern that I'm sharing with you today. And another thing that I learned while I was over consuming on content yesterday was we don't have to necessarily wait until a certain period of time in order to take a certain period of action. And for me, doing this 100-day challenge, I was like, after the 100 days are done, I'm gonna start a business. But there was no reason to make a rule like that up. I could start the business while I'm doing the 100-day challenge. And when I think of like the business I could start, as a multi-passionate maker, I have loads of ideas. So it's literally picking one or maybe two or three and going with them. But I'll share about that in another video that I'll do later or tomorrow. And yeah. So my name is Tandy. I'm a multi-passionate maker who is reimagining work. And I thank you for watching this video so far. And I hope you have a wonderful, lovely day. Goodbye.